Ladies and gentlemen, I dreaded to make this video. I pushed it off. I was hoping for more positive news, and I was really hoping that I wasn't going to have to make a video like this, but I have to. One of the biggest storylines in the UFC and MMA right now is that UFC 303's headliner between Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler could very much be in jeopardy. And following a couple of the chess pieces that have moved today thus far and last night, it just really looks like this fight isn't going to be taking place anymore. And in this video, we're going to discuss kind of what really initially happened in the beginning and how this has really developed over the past few days. Because, guys, this really feels like when you're sitting there, especially if you're from Florida or something, and you got a huge hurricane, a Category 5, that is on the brink of making landfall. This is what this feels like, man. I mean, there's no way that this is good. And my theory that I actually tweeted out on my X account is I think that there is a real shot that Conor McGregor set up the UFC, which I'm going to elaborate on and explain throughout this video, so bear with me. But we got a lot to discuss in this video. And I first want to start with what Conor McGregor initially said for a reason of why the UFC 303 presser in Dublin, Ireland was canceled. I mean, guys, this was in his backyard. This is over in Dublin, Ireland. Like, this was all catered to Conor McGregor, where just a few weeks ago he's on a live stream having all sorts of fun to saying how excited he is for this. And Lene, who works with Dana White, and Dana have this idea the UFC is going to announce, and he thinks the fan base is going to love it. And then out of nowhere, we get all this radio silence from the UFC, which to me is just the scariest part, because we have all these crazy narratives and speculation going on right now, which we're going to talk about what Ariel Helwani said and how, if I think that that's credible or not. But that is really concerning that we have not heard Dana White or the UFC say anything. Now, that seems to be what people are saying, but I do want to mention something about Dana White that I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves for. What I love about Dana is he's not the type of guy where this would be one of the worst case scenarios in the history of the UFC. If Conor McGregor pulls out of a fight or they can't figure something out here, this would be a huge blunder. Giving all that's on the line, International Fight Week, the return of Conor, the prices of the tickets, the gate, and all the different things that we know. Dana is a problem solver. He's going to sit there and he's not just going to come out and be like, oh, Conor McGregor pulled out, we can't figure something out, he's not going to be fighting. Dana's going to deliver that news with a solution, which I'm going to discuss also some solutions I think that, the UFC could look to go to save this card. But guys, Conor McGregor, what he says here is, in consultation with the UFC, today's press conference was canceled due to a series of obstacles outside of our control. I apologize to my Irish fans and fans around the world for the inconvenience and appreciate all your passion and support. I can't wait to put on the greatest all-time show in the octagon. Now, first of all, Conor McGregor, I doubt he wrote that. I think that that's probably his management, his PR. Like, if Conor McGregor was going to announce this, he'd probably be partying in a nightclub, making a voice memo, being like, "Fight's off, yeah?" Like, I don't know, man. Like, it just doesn't sound like Conor McGregor put this out. This is very much kind of a PR control type of thing to me, but that didn't answer anything, right? That didn't answer anything, and we just get a very vague reason from the UFC as well that's just like, oh, yeah, it's canceled due to further notice, pretty much. Like, due to further notice, like, this was in Ireland. This was set up like Conor McGregor in his backyard. Like, this, it's not like this was taking place in Vegas or somewhere in the U.S. and there's some sort of hurdle here. Because make no mistake about it, they told Michael Chandler, listen, this isn't happening. Don't get on a flight. Don't come over here. If Michael Chandler couldn't make the press conference, they don't care. They probably would have had it anyway, as long as Conor could be there. Guys, this is the Conor McGregor show. They would have Conor McGregor up there by himself without Michael Chandler. It all revolves around Conor. So obviously, it has something to do with Conor. Now, let's talk about what Ariel Helwani said, right? So I'm not going to play the clip. I don't want to bore you with that. I'm sure you guys have seen it by now, but I'll go ahead and link the full interview down below on MMA Hour so you can hear what he has to say. But in short, Ariel Helwani says he can confirm with 100% certainty that the UFC 303 press conference today was not canceled due to any out of athletic activities such as drinking, scandals, etc. Now, do I think that this is credible? Well, anytime Ariel gets to break the big storyline, the big news on something, I would like to think that it's pretty credible, right? Because Ariel's always going to be that guy that seems to get the big pieces of information from camps, from teams, that inside source that he's able to put out to the public, right? Anytime Nathan Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, they have some sort of big announcement, it normally gets broken by Ariel Helwani. So Conor McGregor goes way back with Ariel. We know kind of, Ariel has heard from somebody, I'm sure, inside the McGregor camp that has given some sort of assurances that it's none of those negative things that people are instantly going to think about. Like, oh my God, Conor McGregor was partying, a bender, he's arrested, he's this, he's that. He's going into public restrooms at NBA Finals games doing crazy things. Like, I think we have to pump the brakes on that, because the other thing about that, if Conor McGregor was doing something out of line, like there's been some weird things posted on his Instagram with the partying, no doubt, I find it hard to believe that we wouldn't have heard about it by now, right? I feel like something would have slipped, right? I feel like we would have heard something. There's been some deleted tweets that MMA Joey highlighted on his channel where, it's kind of alluding to an injury, which we're going to talk about as we go here. But then we get the thing that's the most concerning to me, right? So we're going to talk about this in just a second, but I want to mention it seems to be a lot of people think that it's an injury type of thing, right? So for me, Conor McGregor's never pulled out of a fight due to injury. And I know that he's in a different point in his career where he has all these businesses, all this money. I mean, I'm sure he's not far off from probably being a billionaire. Like, Conor does whatever the hell he wants. Nobody's telling him what to do, not even his own coaches. Conor controls everything. He doesn't listen to anybody. I've said this before. I've done this on my channel talking about this, where his biggest problem is he doesn't let his coaches coach, and you can't tell him anything. He knows everything. Even on The Ultimate Fighter, if you're watching the clips, people are trying to talk, he just talks over you. He doesn't let you get a word in edgewise. He's not even listening. He's like, yeah. He's not even listening. He's that kind of guy now to where you can't really tell him anything. And he does whatever the hell he wants. And I think he set up the UFC. I think he set up the UFC in a way. And what I mean by that, guys, is what would be the biggest FU Conor McGregor could make to the UFC? Now, again, I don't know the intricacies of the contracts and how these different things work, but we heard some things behind the scenes that Conor McGregor and the UFC were, there were some issues with possible contract negotiations. Conor has 2 fights left on his deal. We know how the UFC is. They don't want you to fight out your contract, hit free agency. Like, they don't want that to happen, especially if it's Conor McGregor. So what could be the ultimate, UFC have had it. You're going to give me what I want. You accept a fight. You basically sell out the arena, have everyone anticipating a Conor McGregor show, build a weak card, and then Conor just says, to hell with that, I'm not showing up. Give me what I want. And now he's going to hold you in a standoff. I don't know if that's what's going on, but to me, that would seem like a chess type of move that a Conor McGregor guy would make, a guy like a Conor McGregor, to get what he wants. Now, Dana White and the UFC have made it very kind of clear, we're not just going to give in and give Conor whatever he wants. So if that theory that I have, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong, it could be an injury, which we're going to talk about, a little bit more as well. This is the most concerning to me, right? The UFC, every time we see a big fight coming up, a headliner of, whatever it is, they upload the free fights. So they uploaded Eddie Alvarez versus Conor McGregor. They uploaded that one first. Then they did Nathan Diaz versus Conor McGregor 2. Both have been taken down. Both have been taken down. Why would they take those down, ladies and gentlemen? Why would they take those down? You're no longer, as of what I read a little earlier, you can't even pre-order the pay-per-view. Well, what the hell does that all mean? Why would they be doing that if this was just a Conor didn't feel like showing up to a press conference and maybe it's all good and this and that? This, to me, the alarms are sounding. The alarms are sounding. The hurricane's about to make landfall. That's what's going on here, guys. This is a disaster. I think that obviously the details are going to slowly start to unfold here. I mean, we're basically less than a month out from this fight, so it's not like there's anywhere for the news to hide. Like, it's not like it's just going to get swept under the rug and, it just goes away. Like, this is Conor McGregor. This is a huge event, International Fight Week. Like, people are forgetting about that too. Like, yes, it's the Conor McGregor show, but this is also International Fight Week, one of the most important, fight weeks of the year for the UFC, given that, all the activities going on and just what that fight week is. And to not have Conor McGregor available and for whatever's going on is crazy. Now, I want to talk about the injury side of things, right? I know I've been kind of dancing around it. It could be. It could be, and I know that people want to bring up the fact that, Conor McGregor is one of those guys who he fights injured. He's never pulled out of a fight. He always shows up. Guys, we're not talking about the same Conor McGregor back in the day who needs a paycheck. We're not talking about the Conor McGregor who was hungry to build the empire that he has now. He has the empire. He has multiple different businesses. He doesn't need fighting. And if Conor McGregor is compromised in any type of way, given how his last fight ended, even the fight before that, both fights were against Dustin Poirier, he's in a position where his back is to the wall. This is pretty much a must-win fight for Conor McGregor. He's getting older in his career. Is it possible that it is that serious that, he can't go? I mean, it is possible. I heard Josh Thompson talking on the Weighing In podcast this morning, and I like what he said. He said, listen, something I didn't even think of. If you're, doing extracurricular things, you're putting things in your body that are, that you would piss hot for, and your body's so used to being fueled up on all those different things. Your recovery's on point. You're a little bit bigger. You're lifting weights. You're doing all these things, and you just try to cut right back into a fight camp. Your body is not going to recover the same. Your body is not going to feel like it used to. He's a little bit older, and maybe he's not able to get down to, I know it's at 170 pounds. Maybe the weight's not coming off the way it used to. Maybe his body's breaking down, and yes, injuries are going to happen. And we've seen that Conor McGregor over the years has not adjusted his training methods. The guy spars with literally just MMA gloves at times and actually goes in there and actually has bouts. He's talked about that numerous times to where you are putting yourself at a very high risk of injury. And we've seen him not be willing to adapt to those things, which has resulted in numerous injuries leading into fights for Conor McGregor. So to say that his training methods, maybe have gotten in the way, that's possible. But for there to be absolute radio silence from everybody and all of these just weird posts going on from Michael Chandler, and then Conor McGregor just posted something, which I'll throw up on the screen for you. Some of these different things are it's very strange. It's very everyone's hinting at what's going on, but nobody's saying it. I don't know why nobody's saying it, but to me, this fight is absolutely in jeopardy for UFC 303. It's really looking to me like Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler does not happen. And if it doesn't happen at UFC 303, I believe that Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor, that ship has sailed. Conor McGregor will not fight Michael Chandler. Michael needs to move on. He has wasted so much time. He's wasted the back end of his career here waiting around for Conor. But we're the UFC, like I mentioned before. If I'm the UFC, what do you do here, right? So say that this is all true. Say that this is what it is. What does the UFC do? Well, we heard Dana talk about at the UFC 302 press conference. We're working on the BMF title fight right now. Now, what would that be? Well, obviously the BMF title holder is who? It's Max Blessed Holloway. Now, what would be the most BMF thing I could possibly think of that's happened throughout the UFC period, in my opinion? Well, Max Holloway, first of all, he's a pretty big guy in the offseason. He's a pretty big dude. He's went up to 155. I think he built a solid frame. Michael Chandler is technically a 155er. I don't think they're going to ask Michael Chandler to drop down and make 155 come June 29th for 303. So is it possible that they book Max Blessed Holloway versus Michael Chandler for the BMF title and make it at 170 pounds? That would be the most BMF thing Max Holloway could possibly do. Fights at 145. The legacy he has there goes up to 55, knocks out Justin Gaethje, who... to sit there and say that Max Holloway wouldn't, do well against Michael Chandler, I think Max Holloway would dismantle Michael Chandler. It would be dangerous in the first round, but as the fight plays out, it would be a 5-rounder. I think Max Holloway would beat him. Again, I don't like when we get high-profile fights announced on short notice. I didn't like when they threw Volkanovski in there against Makhachev for the rematch on short notice. I don't like that. Sacrificing great fights just to save a card at the last second. I don't like that. I would rather the card suffer and then we rebook the matchup and we can enjoy the build-up and the anticipation and both guys get a full camp, and I like that. The other option is some of the rumors out there going around are that Alex Pereira could come in and save the day as he did for UFC 300 and take on Yuri Prochazka or Magomed Ankalaev. I think Yuri Prochazka would probably be the most likely option at this point. They would want a striker's delight type of matchup. But guys, nonetheless, this is a massive storyline. I'm going to stay on top of this. I know that we're all kind of buzzing and want answers, but right now, it seems like there's something going on behind the scenes between Conor and the UFC. Nobody has said anything. Dana hasn't denied anything. This is crazy. Comment your thoughts below. Let me know what you guys think on this topic. Subscribe to the channel. Help your boy out. I would appreciate you all. See you next time.